right, guys. So excited to see you. And yes, Barbara, I know, I think we were doing an email exchange. It's nice to see you. Before we get started, please drop where you are coming from in the chat. I want to see where each one of you are coming in from this world. And I also want to just take a few minutes before we even start this webinar and go deep into the training. I've gotten really clear and grateful in this last year and watching just so many of you consistently showing up, re-inspired to start your business if maybe you put it on the side. And I really want you to give yourself an applause. And I say this because a lot of us need just that reminder. We all deal with our own struggles. For me, I deal with my own anxiety and depression, and that's been a huge part of my life. And so this last year was a little tough for me and just that uncertainty. And so if you've been in that place, you ain't alone. And I hope that it sets the stage for going into this training and knowing this. You can have tons of systems in place, tons of foundation. You can have the best Facebook advertising team, the best coach in the world, amazing virtual assistants, or you're even doing it yourself. But if you don't believe that you are worth getting paid for what you want to do, which is to help people, to be of service, if you don't believe in your offer, or feel confident that you can take a workshop and go and pitch to people in your local community or reach out to them via online or give them a call, it's really hard to ever make money. So it's something that I've been talking a lot in this past few months about, just that inner belief system that has to be there. And so if you are a person like many heart-based healers who either had their own stuff, how big or little it was, or their own kind of, trauma stuff or PTSD. So many of you have overcome health issues, or your children have, or you are a nurse, or you're now a coach, or you were a doctor, and now you're a coach. Every one of you have such an amazing story. So just remember that it takes really believing in yourself, and that comes with practice. So don't think, there are some people, and I would say 10% of the people you see are born marketers. And then you have somebody like me that's a great conversationalist, but had a massive fear of public speaking my entire life. And so I never practiced that because I would get out of needing to do it. And that was one thing that I did when I first started coaching. I knew that would get in my way of success. I knew other coaches had more money for prettier sites, and they had money for virtual assistant teams, and they had money for all that kind of stuff. And I didn't. So what I did was practiced and honed in on what I was taught in business and commercial real estate. You have to practice your discovery calls. You have to practice your pitches. You have to, step into that place of ownership. So I just want to kick off this night with empowering you to believe in yourself. You didn't go through either, all this journey to not be of service and to get paid. It's something that a lot of us have as money blocks, healers, energy workers, especially those who have suffered in that specific issue because our heartstrings get pulled. But just remember, there is somebody that desperately needs you specifically. They're hiring you because of how they vibe with you. And even think of yourself when you're buying something. You usually choose that product because you start trusting somebody. I know there are tons of products in the world, tons of supplements, but there's like one or two people that I trust because they consistently show up with value, and value that really appeals to my problems specifically. And so they are the ones that, of course, I buy from. So just remember that when you're thinking about building your signature system, what you need as far in that awareness phase, which is phase one. It's what somebody sees maybe on your social media, or if you're working not in list building on social media. It's what you are pitching to build a referral network for people offline. It's, it's what they actually see, on either your grid, or they go to a YouTube video, or what's on your blog. And then the second part is bringing them in so they opt in to that specific free offer that is solving a specific problem. And the second part of that is to then nurture them because you're having a conversation. That's all a funnel is. It's a conversation that you are having with this specific person who's got a specific set of problems, and your freebie or your class, your master class, your free workshop, or your challenge, or your on-demand webinar solved a specific problem. So they move to the yes zone. And then they actually move to conversion. And that's where that conversion is, of course, when they either get on a discovery call, or they buy a low-cost offer, or they buy after a webinar. It's that you've really wowed them and showed them not only what your offers involve, but you've really spoken to why your ideal client buys. And just remember, people are humans with a lot of different emotions, their own set of narratives that are based on, information that they absorb in the world. And so our job is always to demystify, explain, have empathy, and to build a kick-ass business. So guys, hey, Cheryl, sister from Philly, Southern California, Waco, Texas, Houston, Texas, Dallas, Texas. God, I was praying for you guys, really, really praying. That was a hard thing to watch, especially because I know what it's like to prep for hurricane stuff, and it's not fun, and it's a little scary. So big prayers to everyone in the world, and let's get this party started. All right, so I'm gonna pull this up. Give me a second to, of course, get this into slideshow. What I want to focus on, because the biggest problem I hear from coaches is they say, how do I package and price my offers? I know that I should have a signature offer. I hear these words, low cost offer, or self-paced, or do it yourself, but how does it all work together? And so I wanted to show you in a very simple way how to do that without feeling massively overwhelmed. So this is my little bio, some of the really cool places I've been featured in, but this is about you. And yes, I did build a business. I actually built my business building a referral network offline. I did a lot of introducing myself to people, and keep in mind, I had just moved from Philly where I knew everyone. I had a concrete plan of who I was going to reach out to, but I moved to Florida, Southern Florida. And so when I speak to you on my experience of not knowing anybody, I really did not. But what I did is I had to put my big girl panties on, put my imposter syndrome to the side, put the fear that my crappy business card, because I don't have a lot of design talent, I had to walk into places, flyers that I printed out at my home. And I just want to bring it back down to tell you that this is what it took for me. And that's the real behind the scenes is not everyone has it just in a pretty perfect package, but it doesn't have to be, in that sense that the thing that has to be perfect is you getting super clear on who you work with, niching down, being very specific in your message, and not saying things like, I just want to help people get better. I said things like that, I want to help people with their digestive health so they feel better. I want you to really, as we go in tonight, write down, I always tell people, take a book, put all your kind of notes in there about your ideal client, you'll see, and think about what are the specific problems? What is that wake up problem? Your clients, all of our clients have a myriad of symptoms, because we know if there's gut issues, there's about 30 different problems that could be an issue for any one of our ideal clients. If there's hormone issues, if there's blood sugar issues, if there's mindset issues, if there's emotional eating issues. So really think and start to keep a Post-it note, or even don't write on your hand, but get a piece of paper or take notes on your iPhone or another type of phone. So you can build your business in any different model or structure. That means for some of you, you thrive better with one-on-one. And that means that you're using the online space in the digital market or offline to bring people to your one-on-one. Some of you will also work offline. And that means that you'll look for partnerships with gyms, acupuncturists, chiropractors, people who already know, like, and trust you. That is a much faster way to consistent money-making months than to sit there and hope that your message is going to get seen in a sea of social media. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't be consistent. It means that I want you to think outside the box, because that's where we start to really be able to get into manifesting and that law of attraction, is to have an infinite mindset of possibilities and not just finite of what somebody's telling. Oh, they said I should, just run this one ad, or I should only focus my energy on IG. Look at different platforms. Think, where is my ideal client hanging out? And then start asking people who are either friends, family, even people who could be potential clients. Look at some of the people, if you don't have clients in your life, and say, where do you go to get information? Like, where do you go to look at recipes? Where do you go when you have a problem? I found a lot of people went to YouTube. So I started also building there. When you're thinking of offline, I want you to think of 3 workshops. Most often, if you are pitching your free service to get in front of somebody's audience, you're not going to go and just say, hey, I'm a coach. This is what I do. I want you to get extremely specific. So if you are working in hormones, I want you to think of, who do you really want to work with? It's not just everyone in hormones. I mean, it can, of course, but I would guarantee that the majority of you have a specific specialty. Maybe it's because something happened in your life. Maybe it was that you were diagnosed with estrogen dominance, or that it's been adrenal issues, or it's been gut and hormones. Well, then the 3 workshops that you are pitching and you're looking as your signature 3 core workshops, which can be webinars and also can be video teaching series by recording little parts, 10-minute clips of one workshop. This is something that you're extremely proud of. I want you to also think infinite, not finite. These PowerPoints can also be pitch opportunities to podcasts, because guess what? You can read off of that, and you can even pitch them and say, this is an example of the quality and the information. And I'll be able to, in the show notes, put a direct link for your audience to be able to grab this workshop. So I want you to really think about the limitless possibilities that we talk about for list building. Then, of course, in the online space, most of you are going to be doing list building. Maybe your peeps are on Pinterest or LinkedIn or YouTube, different social media networks, or maybe you don't even know where they are. And so you're in a testing phase. Or maybe you're like Danielle, who I'm interviewing on the 21st about her success with building 1,100 people to come into her challenge by doing it on TikTok. I just want to give you some real examples of people who are doing it themselves, and also how you can start to expand your visibility instead of saying, oh, nobody's clicking on my link. I want you to think like a business owner. So that means today, write down 10 places who already know, like, and trust you. It may even be the salon you go to. It may even be a fitness gym, a spa. And guess what? In today's age, a lot of people are not seeing people face to face, but face to face is really what? It's this kind of format that we're in. So think of Zoom or my other favorite platform to be able to go live into a group, or to have different people, on that, on maybe like an interview, or do a teaching class, of course, for somebody, for a doctor's office, or to build your network of referrals. StreamYard is my other favorite. So they come into a free offer. That's whether you lead them to something like a low cost offer of a challenge or a low cost offer of a small program, or this might even be that they come to the free offer and they land on a page that actually has an intro video by you, or even some just very clear verbiage of what was your backstory, why do you do this, what happened, what did you learn? What did you learn when you went to school? What was all these years of experience? What has it taught you to be that expert? And you are that expert. Think about what is your niche's pain point. These are just a bunch of pain points, honestly, that can be pretty much for almost every niche, maybe except for like autoimmune flares. But I would say somebody gets stressed, they usually go to the bathroom multiple times. Somebody can have hormonal imbalances. Of course, if there's gut issues, energy, skin rashes, constipation, I could tell you 30 different problems that people would come to me and say. And I would feel like nervous in those early days, like, how am I going to help this person? But I had to come and realize that person needs to be shown the way. So in whatever way you envision your dream business, working one-on-one, having maybe a downsell offer as a self-paced product or a course or a program that's low cost, that if somebody's not ready to work with you or they're a little unsure. Some of you have models where you're doing membership. Some of you have high ticket offers and you're graduating them into a next step of that hero journey. But it all starts with this, writing down these 10 pain points and then thinking, what is that wake up problem that keeps your ideal client, whether it's a woman, whether you work with women or you work with men or you work with, both, what is that person's wake up problem? What is actually stopping them from being available in their life? Secondly, how's it affecting when they travel? How's it affecting when they eat out? How's it affecting when they go to birthday parties? Do they say no actually to engagements because they are nervous that this one problem will get in the way? How's it affecting their intimacy, their relationships? I want you to go Tony Robbins on this, where he always talks about these different compartments of life. Marketing. Often we say things like, I don't know what to say. We do know what to say. We just have to write down in this step-by-step process and look at it every day and interview people. So we start hearing how somebody says their problem in their own words. Market research, just like we said. You can even use quizzes, which we do have for sale and actually are included in a good part of our programs. In our detox, there's a baseline and toxicity quiz. In our workshops, there are quizzes. In the stress program, there's actually a full quiz package in there that's brand new. In our protocols, there are all quizzes because a lot of us have a tough time, even though it's near and dear to our heart, we have a tough time when it pulls on our heartstrings to kind of step back and step into the business shoes and not the empathy of the empath, of the feeler who was once in that place. So a great thing about quizzes is you can actually use those in forms to ask high engaging questions. And secondly, you can even use those questions on Instagram stories. You can use those questions in a Facebook group. Very simple. I want you to make sure that you have very simple information. A lot of us get extremely overwhelmed. Like, is this going to work? What should I say? What are my titles? What are people searching for? And if you're like me, drop a 1 in the comment. If Google Analytics and looking at analytics is not your BFF. For those of you who do that, amazing. I love you. And that's why you guys run your business in a certain way. For me, I always needed to be sure that I was tapping into talking to people constantly. I asked a lot of questions. And one of the tools that you can do is go to Answer the Public. It is free. And you can put in energy. And you'll see right here, these are all different things that people were intentionally searching for. So just remember, market research can be done in a bunch of different ways. Coaches always ask me, do you think this is right for me? And I always say, go and see what people are searching for. Go and, of course, look at some Amazon books. Get clear and certain that this is the great program for you, or a mega program, which is over 21 days, or a gateway, which is under 21 and can be good for like a 30-day group, good for a 30-day work with you. Usually a program 5 days to 14 days was good for me to do a single session, saving time on all the notes that I had to give. Secondly, being able to give concrete, tangible information to my client, and then wowing them. And then they even would say, wow, I want to go to this, like, what is it like to work with you for 3 months or 6 months? The same applies when you're even saying on a discovery call or on a webinar, this is exactly what you're getting in this program. I want to actually flip the screen. This is the end of the webinar. I want to show you this Dropbox, or I want to show you what this looks like in Kajabi or Practice Better. Bring people into that program. That's the beauty of the tangibles that people buy from us, from freebies to challenges to blogs to, you know, programs, signature programs, membership, is that you can then change the content, move it around. You can combine content. I used to do that for a 30-day program where I combined a detox and a paleo program. You can also, of course, change covers, change titles, do anything. We just want you to not have to spend roughly, I would say, 6 months to 2 years. What I usually hear from people actually creating that signature program. And for those of you that are in a program that's teaching you to create a signature program, teaching you to launch your course, working with a business coach, working with a virtual assistant team or online business manager or marketing team, I want you to actually spend more time connecting with people. Connecting is where you will have conversion. This is a connection business. No matter if you are in the online space, in the offline, maybe other people say it differently, but I've learned over 10 plus years of being in business and having a successful business before that, connection with people will create conversion. And if they aren't ready for you at one time where they saw you and they're seeing you consistently, they will be ready for you at another time. And so to even recap on that, in your one-on-one calls, I want you to start saying to people, you know, this is what you get when you work with me. It's a step-by-step. That's the whole point. I don't want you to be overwhelmed. And really refining what your offers are so that when you are at a challenge closing, you're super clear. When you actually get somebody off the phone doing, you know, you're talking about your one-on-one, but then talking about downsell opportunities. A downsell means less money, but that gets them in the door. That's what you learned in this past training when I talked about low-cost offers. Low-cost offers aren't because you're going to bleed yourself dry doing an hour session, although I will tell you, many of the wellness practitioners that buy from us are in a clinic situation. So they are doing 1 hour visits in packages, or of course, packaging it the way that works cohesively for you. So let's talk about defining the freebies. If I were to sit there and say, yep, here's for gut. One of my big things, one of my teaching pillars was food sensitivities. It also was, I found, a major pain point for people. And that food sensitivity usually, as you and I know, means that there's a host of issues. Could be heavy metals, could be a lack of minerals, could be probiotics and prebiotics not in balance, could be, of course, viral, parasitic, fungal. We know that. But what I realized is a lot of my clients didn't know that food sensitivities had root causes. And so for me, that was one of my core freebies that I had. I took that PowerPoint and I converted it into a PDF, which you can easily do. Also, I had a gut challenge. I had a video series when you were coming to my site, and a lot of coaches have used this either to infuse their CBD oil, their network marketing products. And we also have a meditation challenge. We also have a chakra challenge. Here's the gut challenge. There's a sugar challenge. And that's included with 5 emails. So that means if your ideal client opts in, they come to a landing, they come to a thank you page, and then you have 5 opportunities with those emails to nurture that relationship. And of course, you can do, sign up for a discovery call, or you can do the quiz on the front from the Leaky Gut Protocol. When they take the quiz, you can actually say, here, you just unlocked like this 5-day teaching series that I talk about gut health. And you can feed in information from food sensitivities. So you're really what? You're being the connector. That means you're connecting, you're creating the spider web, because that's what our clients are all in, a spider web. We were, of like overwhelm and misinformation. You are helping your ideal client to say, hey, I know you just have belly bloat, but like, let's look at some of the issues that could also be arising. For me, adrenal was a huge component because Candida was one of my specialties, and so was adrenal health. I looked at adrenal health not as scientific as others, like a Chris Kressler, who I adore, but I looked at it more in the work of, and our adrenal restart is more in the work of like Dr. Wilson and Dr. Lamb, and also looking at the emotional boundaries of a perfectionist, which is why we also put out the Perfectionist Workshop, because I feel that a lot of women, myself included, and I would say a lot of A-type driven women, or even women with a lot of self-doubt and inner critic stuff, it's a great workshop. Then if you're looking at being, of course, cost effective, the thing is our programs have these workshops. So I had a workshop on Candida. It was also a webinar workshop a webinar that I would also do leading into a paid program and talking about doing an elimination diet, did low sugar, so that it really made sense for my ideal client who was like, I see this. So I want you to just visualize this right now for yourself. I want you to visualize your website. I want you to visualize your different social media channels or where you desire to show up. I want you to see 3 different people. These are your ideal client avatars. And that means that I want you to step into the shoes of these 3 different people. They all have the same problem. We'll call them Jane, Susie, and Jack. And Jane is kind of a personality like me. She's got a lot of high anxiety. She's managed it her whole life by controlling different things. And she's really had to learn how to rework on PTSD stuff that happened when she was younger, and work on a lot of trauma. And so rewiring Jane, she doesn't trust as easily as Susie does. Susie, and they have the same problems: gut issues, skin issues, environmental sensitivities, food allergies that, came up in the 30s, or food allergies that the little young ones that I worked with and the teenagers. But Susie is that person who's always a self-doubter, whereas Jane is the opposite. Susie's like, oh my God, I'm so stupid. I did know that. And you're always like, Susie, stop doubting yourself. Like, stop shaming yourself. Well, Jack has the same problems, but it's actually Jack's wife, Michelle, who is the one looking for his skin issues that was just diagnosed at their doctor. The doctor said, you have a myriad of skin issues, psoriasis, and I also see that you have high cholesterol. You also have, he's got high blood pressure. He's got all this stuff. But the thing is that his skin is related to his gut. So when you're thinking of the things that you need, don't just think of the workshop. People always say, how do we use your stuff correctly? Using it correctly is sitting back and thinking about the types of people that need you and what specifically they need to hear. So if you are doing something like the adrenal health and hormone health, you might be saying, hey, this is for the woman who is this type A personality, or this self-doubter, or maybe you're actually struggling, and you're a nice husband that's looking for his wife. And so really think about how you can take the content that we've created, which saves so much time. A copywriter on average is about 50 to 150 in email. And I would say anywhere from 350 to 800 for a sales page. It's really shocking. If you're getting an editor or a virtual assistant that has design, usually a virtual assistant that has design capabilities is usually like upwards of $20. It's very hard to find somebody that has great design. So when you think about how to really use it, it's how to message it properly. The content works. I mean, I can say hands down, I've seen tons of coaches have massive success in all different models for their business. And those who are in the six-figure and higher range usually have a combination of a few different types of offers within their offer suite, because they understand that not everyone's the same fit. If you have any questions, just drop them in, of course, below, so I can make sure that I answer them. And then I use a workshop from the 30-day gut fix. Some of you, of course, might get a little more specific because you want to have a workshop that you are doing each month. And so you're really forward planning. You're like, over the next 90 days, my goal is to launch this program first week of May. Or you're going to launch a June program, or you're going to launch a program at the end of April. If you've already been kind of building that authority, or you do what a lot of our coaches do, partnered with somebody local that owned like, a health food store, or I partnered with different gyms, women wellness centers, chiropractors, and they were all people that really started then just loading me in with clients for a referral network. So each one of you are going to launch your business, whatever it is, your one-on-one, your membership, a low-cost offer, or you're building out your Work With Me page. This is a Work With Me page. Some of you might not have a single 60-minute. These were the two core programs that I had in the beginning for a 60-minute. I gave them complete access to the program. Once they paid, I sent them the program in individual links to Dropboxes. We didn't have fancy platforms back then. Thank God, actually. And I would say, hey, why don't you read this guide? I want you to fill out a food diary. I want you to get a journal, and, let's get your probiotic. Let's get started. So when we meet together, it's really efficient. And that's the thing about really looking at an onboarding system that works for you, because as you get busy, or you have a 9-to-5, or you have little kids, or you're just a human living in this world, we are very limited on time. And we have to be very conscious of what's going to make the most cohesive, streamlined business. It's not always about platforms. It's about you thinking, what offer would go with this person? And if I send them a Acuity or an invoice from Practice Better or any of these different platforms, what can I send them right after? Guys, even if it has to be manual. I did that for so long. 30-day, of course, these were these two programs that I had because I had a Sally that was not as informed as my gut person that was an autoimmune person like myself with a myriad of health issues. So I used the 21-day New You weight loss because I know even though she had a crap load of these other issues, habits and self-care and not knowing how to take care of herself, or the self-care tools and rituals that we all talk about, CBD oil and essential oils and homeopathy and magnesium lotion. I knew that I could get her in with that being her pain point, but that would also educate her about digestive health, educate her about metabolism and sugar, which was a huge part of my story. It would educate her also on this connection to adrenal. And it would also inform and educate her to definitely speak with her specialist that she was working for her hormones, because I didn't want her to follow the same path that happened with me, which was to be undiagnosed with a thyroid issue forever. So right here were my higher programs. I worked with these with gyms actually with athletes who had adrenal fatigue. I also, of course, had a number of different clients. And if I did need to do testing and somebody else was doing that, like the chiropractor, not a naturopath, that's actually illegal in Florida, but a person that was similar in that way, a very holistic understanding and testing, or an acupuncturist, I would include that price in the package, very similar to how you guys include testing. This same, if you swap it and you say, oh, well, I'm never doing a 60-minute session. If it's a 6 week, that's your 6 week. If you don't have a mid-tier, then it's 6 week and your other program. When I look at this, $97 to $1,500. So I would say in the beginning, if you're charging 97, or that's just a sweet spot for an hour that you keep with, or if you're at 150, 197, 250, 300, 350, and plus, know your hourly so you can really help to understand how to package and what would your 90-day be. If you take out a calculator with me, as I always love doing, 333 times 3 is a $9.99 package. If you sit there and map out, as we will when we get to this next, the map actually on pricing, play out your different scenarios. I know you'll have success with our content, hands down. I also know you need to focus on the money that you need to make, which is really equates the lives that you need to change. Secondly, how are you going to get there? What are your free offers that you can be able to, do a workshop once a week? That workshop that you could do on your business page, going live, via StreamYard or pre-recorded. I get it. Some people are so scared. I put myself on a 2-year video a day commitment. I said, I don't care. I'm going to train myself to let go of caring like if I'm perfect, because I am a recovering perfectionist. And so if you're scared, practice more. It's going to lessen the fear, and practice equals mastery. Mastery means that you start to do it without even really thinking. And so that you can really show up in that intuitive way, which will always guide you to have the best launch, pivot when needed, and also to really be able to hear your potential client in a direct message, in a personal message, etc. So when you're looking at workshops, it's not just when should I do this? You can say, I'm going to say that I'm doing a live on this day, or I'm going to take every Tuesday to reach out and book 3 workshops a month, or 2 workshops a month for somebody else, or I'm going to ask this person who is more of a little more influence and they have more visibility, can I interview you? Do it, guys, because I know the program works. I know the content works. I know our stuff works. What usually is not as, there aren't as many push-ups, like, training for the marathon, is that you're showing up weekly and creating that visibility. The only way we get to visibility and trust and all that is by taking a chance. So when you're thinking about your group coaching can be, some of you are in programs where you are told to create a 60-day signature program or a 90-day, or you've already had that in your vision. I just want to create the infinite possibilities versus the finite. You can have a 3-month online group where you combine group coaching with sessions. So that's where you're going to see something like a $999, or again, maybe a $497 of a client doing that a month, $497 a month, and she's got 10 women in there. If you even thought about $597 times 3, $1,791. For some of you, you might even include packages where you are doing testing, or you're doing energy healing, or you're doing essential oil, suggestions for people. There's so many ways to package brilliance and make it a no-brainer, as long as you know what you really want to do. Don't doubt yourself. Don't be like, wow, I was told that this niche would be better. Know that you're niching down and you're getting specific in your signature process so that somebody sees those freebies. See the freebies? They see the workshops, and they know what you do. They're like, oh, this person keeps talking about adrenal. And if they don't know what adrenal is, you can always say blood sugar and hormone health. I want you to really understand the potential of how amazing this could be. Your group coaching, of course, and you'll see when we map this out, you can have any different model. There are some people that do 2 group coaching launches a year. Some people, of course, they don't do group coaching. They love self-paced products like at 67 or 77, or some people love, of course, converting from like a 2-week program that's like $97, and then, of course, leading them to the next step. Are there any questions right now with any of this? Is this helpful? Yes, no, maybe so. I hope it is, because it's something that I wish somebody would have shared with me when I was first coaching, because I see a lot of the questions you guys ask, and there's not a stupid question at all. Every question is relevant. It's just taking and going through how to make it work so you don't feel overwhelmed and quit. Remember, we talked about the downsells. I don't think I need to go back over that, the calculator. And I wanted to show this because it's a very simple. I know some of you have downloaded our 60K, 85K, 100 pricing maps. And always with the pricing map, you have to sit there and play out these different scenarios and think, what am I doing each month to get people on my list so that I can convert 5 clients or 10 clients? All you have to do is determine what that price is going to be. I have it at $450 a month. That's $54,000 a year. If you did one VIP day, which was my favorite, and you did it for 6 hours because your price is $150, or you do it for 3 hours, or maybe you're not doing this, then you remove this piece of calculation. And then you have to say, okay, do I need to raise my price on my one-on-one? Or do I need to ensure that my price for group coaching, actually my goal for group coaching goes up, or my price goes up? When I say upsell to 3 people, I always did this. I did my detox as a group. I upsold to a single session. I even would do friends in the group if they wanted to do like 3 of them in a session. As long as I wasn't personalizing for each person, I was like, the more the merrier. You're going to hold yourself accountable with your girlfriends. And then, of course, for me, it was always a soft sell on my network marketing. At that time, it was doTERRA. I mean, I'm still with doTERRA, but at that time I was building. And then right here, even an upsell to a next program at only $187. So start to look at where your numbers come from. A lot of you do network marketing. This is a pretty small number a year. So if this number is a little bigger, then, or see right here where it says do-it-yourself programs or network marketing. So that means $35 times selling 5 equals 175 times 12, 2,100. So start to really look at this and be like, oh my God, this is actually doable. We just need to drop the fear, get with our higher ups or whomever you pray to, and get aligned with what you do. Know that you are the solution. Just want to show you, a lot of people ask me about this. A lot of you are new coaches and you're like, what the heck is, how do people come in to my offer? Like, how do I use your content? So think of it like this. This is the simplest way. Webinars have a link with a call to action. Sign up for a one-on-one. I know nobody talks about that. Sign up for a one-on-one call, your discovery call, or, you know, join this program. Blogs have a CTA. Our blog packages, you can take the freebie that you love at the end, say, here, can you fill out this quiz and get like immediate access to a masterclass. That masterclass can be one of the workshops. If you're under, if this is clicking, drop a 2 in the chat, because this is one thing that if you can see how limitless the possibilities are when you take one piece of content and how many places you can use it, that's what will allow you to take the steps, be the 6-figure coach or whatever your goal financially is. Some of you are leaving jobs or want to leave jobs because I talked to you and you're making 150. So really looking at this on how you're going to get there and your visibility is extremely important so you can leave that job and live your purpose. Social media, of course, you can bring people in with case studies, interviews, emails with your CTA, Facebook ads, live stream, live Q&As. They come to an opt-in page. You're warming them up. That's your first date. And then it leads to a nurture sequence. And that nurture sequence can, of course, be very simple. It doesn't have to be 10 emails. It doesn't have to be 6. I always liked getting people on the phone. I just always made sure that I pre-qualified them with a series of questions. So I knew if they were ready for coaching. And that's a very simple thing to say to people. You know, my prices are on average here. I have price points from, you know, 67 and up, which of course is your lower cost offer. So remember, any email, any opt-in page can lead to a thank you page with a link to join your program or to sign up for a discovery call. I wouldn't do a link to a high cost program because people need to be a little loved first, a little nurtured. So when you're thinking about a funnel, it's really about building trust. Your opt-in page, or it can be a video series. You can take one workshop, something like Repair Your Period. That could be 3 mini 15-minute classes. It's so easy to do that, guys. You don't even have to show your face in the beginning and then turn off that so you can focus, teach the class, or if you want to show your face. What I'm trying to say is you're going to have to do it scared and practice. Go and look at my YouTube videos. In the early ones, I'm like this. Hi, I want to talk to you about cranberry juice. But you know what? I did it and it got me clients. And I was watching other people I went to school with that were very talented and were not having as much success because they weren't taking those steps to create that visibility that we would often be taught if we were in a business or a sales position. And so it doesn't take rocket scientists to figure that out. Just think, where do I need to create this visibility? And you're going to be a little scared and you're going to feel like you're going to throw up or your heart's going to pound. And, but you're going to do it. And then you put that in your emotional cash register and say, oh my God, I didn't die. Maybe I broke out a little rash, but you know, then you're going to, of course, take something to modulate your immune system. So the nurture sequence, which I just, you know, shared with you the price of an average like nurture sequence. We have those in our programs. We also have a few email sequences that lead to a free, you know, that come from a freebie. Definitely read our sales pages because each one of them is different, but you'll see right here as this could be a masterclass or a single session or a signature strategy session where maybe you pair it with like a little offer. doesn't have to be super complicated. So take a deep breath, visualize your client, think about what goals you want to achieve because you are a wellness entrepreneur. Write down, what are my goals? How am I going to create the visibility I need to get people onto my list, to nurture them and to lead them to a paid offer? As long as they are the right client for you, trust me, you will be able to lead them. A lot of it is your confidence, and your confidence that you know the program that you are making as part of that package for your 3-month, intensive mastermind, or a group that leads to a retreat, or your one-on-one, or your 12-month, work with me in a group that, just say like 397 times 12 equals 4,760. And then you have a goal of 10 people. That's 47,640. So I really want you to tap into, like, I dreamed of working with people in this fashion, and be super pumped about it and excited, and just be a horse in a race. Like, put on the blinders and just focus on yourself. It's very easy to jump into comparison, and all that will leave you is into poopy mindset. And most often hiring a lot of people, spending a lot of money, and thinking that's going to buy the confidence. What does build our confidence is, of course, work with somebody. I mean, invest in your business, but understand this is an inner game. And you need to have at least yourself believe in yourself. And it's really nice if you can have one other person. Mine is, of course, my husband. You will see these two bold and amazing women, both in the energy space. Rebecca is a real high-vibing, like, she's the yin, I would say she's the yin to my yang. And if you go to her site, you can see it. She is a psychotherapist that actually a lot have come to us, social workers, chiropractors, doctors, and because their work life has changed with people coming into an office, they've expanded. She had a goal when she had her little baby to move into more of a coaching atmosphere. And so she has our end emotional eating as her lower cost work with me. And then she has 3-month eat with intention. She also has a workshop, learn how to end dieting, knowing that her person may still be in that, like, kind of diet mentality, but to work with Rebecca, she has very clear boundaries of who is ideal for her and who is not. So then you have Alchemia. She's amazing. She came to me at the beginning of the pandemic and said, this may not be my year, or maybe it is. I wanted to build my online business. I've been investing time into understanding, like, social media and just really examining different platforms. And I thought I was going to open this business and have people face to face, because that's usually how I work with people. But of course, using the digital space, and that didn't work out. I think she was in a complete lockdown, like many of us were in March. So she has a bunch of our different programs, the 21-day, change your life in 21 days, reset your life in 21 days. She also has, I think, a detox from us. She has a bunch of different programs. She bought 3-month Eat with Intention. Even though she's not an intuitive eating coach, a lot of that work is work that she does on releasing narratives. She's an energetic healer, and she loves, and one of her biggest high-end converters is actually the 7-day chakra cleanse, which she does on Instagram, because that's her platform. You'll see Carrie Adams. She bought Mindset Makeover and actually turned it into a course that she, of course, added to her own stuff. She was a physiotherapist and wanted to have just a different kind of life for her family. And so she stopped, of course, going to everyone's different homes, and she wanted to build an online community, and she did. She built it herself on ClickFunnels. JJ, same thing. I don't think she did automation until year 7 of her business. And she is now doing a high ticket yearly membership of working with her in a intensive mastermind. She does retreats. But she started by doing all the same things I said. And you will actually, if you're in our paid groups, if you just Google JJ's name, you will see her share a lot of her success. This is Dana Denawi. This is actually her tier. So I just wanted you to see, like, just because somebody doesn't have every program on their site, this was her tier that she actually created. Easy weight loss, then there was the revitalize, and the skin and self-care was a detox. What she did is she, of course, rebranded, and now she's a hormone coach, and she has our 12-month hormone membership, Retune Your Hormones, and she actually has it as a self-paced. This is me. You can do this price model. I used to even do like house parties with people, cooking parties. I don't think we're doing as much right now on that. But charging for an in-person workshop is the same thing charging for an online workshop. Just start to think infinite possibilities. So you can charge 50 people for each class. This was a joint venture opportunity where I was getting paid to do these classes. But if you think about hosting a 75-minute class, I would say it's probably worth $50 because you can give people handouts. And again, that's a low entry leading them. This is just a 70-30 split. A lot of people ask, what does it look like to actually joint venture partner with somebody? I would say that everyone has a little different of a model, but that's exactly what I did. You'll see right here. Your cut, their cut, stuff of that. And some people actually pay you by session. I worked at a small karate studio, an MMA karate studio, all from a referral from another person saying, you have to have this woman teach. I taught 8 classes and I got paid, I believe it was like $250 a class. So, you know, and I was scared poopless, but I took a program and I gave them the program and handouts, and it really worked out well. This is Christina, which you will always see. And then I want to just show you the new programs. The code works for any full pay program. We do have 3 payment plans. We don't do interest. So that's a no interest payment plan. I know what it takes to start your business, and we hold ourselves with a lot of integrity to try to keep low prices for the type of quality of content that we put out. So that code that you see on the VIP replay page, or even if you go to yourhealthcoachbiz.com and you see that pop up, it says save, it is spring 25. So you're able to use that. And these are the different protocols. Of course, I'm going to answer any questions, but wanted to just show you, this is, I would say, one of the most amazing programs I think we've put together, because I thought so much about how you guys are delivering programs. Many of you are in Kajabi, you're in Practice Better, you're in Teachable, or you're automating your one-on-one so that you can leverage and grow. Every handout, every guide in there, every workbook has a PowerPoint to go with it. Not only does the workshop have it, the workbooks have a teaching system, but you will see from month 1, there's an 87-slide PowerPoint. I did that so that if you were teaching off of that PowerPoint, you could break it up into little sessions, segments, or you could even do pre-recorded videos, or of course, do it live with a live Q&A the next week. And then, of course, diving into the workbook system or covering the workbook system already pre-recorded, making it really easy for you guys to not have to think about the moving parts. Even with the blogs there, I put banners with the Canva templates, knowing that it can take, some effort to go and create that. And when you're really wanting to launch your business, the least amount of information, the least amount of stuff that you have to go and change is really the key to being able to take the time to map out what that transformation is going to be like, really step into the ownership of it, practice your workshops, launch those freebies and start list building. Even if you're using Facebook group and the 3 questions that you can ask to grab somebody's name and email, you don't even need automation. You just need to really sit back and take a deep breath and look at your whole business. That's why I always call it like this whole business funnel, so that everything cohesively works for you. And that one workshop that you do or webinar should be uploaded to YouTube. All you have to do in the description is like, hey, if you really love this, hop on over to my blog. It really should be that easy. And often it doesn't, because we get overwhelmed and we complicate it. But that's what I did in the beginning. And guess what? Before I could even figure out how to link an automation, I would even put like, email me to get this offer. That's how motivated I was in the beginning. I just put an email. I knew if somebody was interested, they would email me. These are some of our peeps' favorites. This, I mean, everyone loves. This is the Adrenal Restart. You can see it's all in these different sections of books, which is why a lot of people say, can you easily turn this into a course? The same with Sugar Repair. You have each of these individual books week by week. So if you had a PowerPoint made, it's very easy to have a PowerPoint made when you have the content. So you can go and find somebody in a Facebook group at maybe a lower cost, or you can find somebody on Fiverr or Upwork, or see if there's somebody that's a college student near you that is looking for extra hours, and of course, let them help. You can end emotional eating that we were talking about, blood sugar mastery, and 60-day weight loss. Here's the retune your hormones. And again, on each one of these sales pages, you will see what's included. And so we get a lot of questions like, was a Canva template included with this? If it's not on the sales page, sometimes that wasn't created in Canva, or we charge such a low amount that maybe we didn't include it. So please, if you do have a question, reach out to us specifically in our customer support and see if we do have that. And sometimes what I'll do is just say, here's the simple invoice. We try to make it as easy as possible, guys. A lot of our covers before Canva was what it is today. Most of our stuff was created in Photoshop. So before we move on to questions, this is, of course, Danielle. I love snapshots. This is directly from our group, because I feel like snapshots, you cannot, I'm not saying anyone fudges, but you can actually see the whole thing. So this is Danielle, and she really just went for it. And I even said to her in the Facebook chat under this, what was the difference, Danielle? Because I know you bought like a year and a half ago. And she said, the difference is I really got super clear that I'm working with women with Hashimoto's. I got super clear on what I'm offering. And she took the 5-day thyroid weight loss, which is written AIP style. And she swapped a cover and said Hashimoto challenge. So I share that because she took that, she made it into a challenge. She took emails from, I think, the program that she bought, and used that to, of course, create that fluid kind of back and forth conversation that really needs to happen when we are thinking about converting our clients. So let me see if there's any questions. I see comments, so somebody saying, if I had more questions after this call, do you offer coaching to us coaches? What I am going to be doing is putting some Zoom calls that are going to be come and ask questions and answers. I would say if you have a question, I'm happy to bring you on the screen, but if you don't want to show, of course, your face, you can ask a specific question through our customer support. Just keep in mind, I'm the one replying. So just give me a little, and I don't mean like a week, but just give me a little to answer specifically your question. I do have some people asking me, of course, about coaching. I do teach in my membership, but some people have just said, is there a way to do additional coaching? So I've been thinking about that. But I would say if you have questions about a program, we really do try our best to answer that. And if you do send in an email that's specific, more like, hey, this is my niche and this is what I'm looking at, I will actually respond in a video. Dr. Vita is saying, what is my membership? I'm just going to actually share my screen. Escape. Membership is actually content in a box, and it's really exciting what we did this month, and I have already in there 15 captions that are going every month. You get all of this. Some people have a tough time like going and implementing the social media. I always say you just got to keep it really simple and take that 30-day social media Canva and just add in that flow that you want. These can also, of course, be used for blogs. You get recipes. A lot of our coaches use those on their blogs because blogs with recipes are amazing. So you also get Facebook ad packs, Instagram stories, and you'll see you can go through and look at each month. We, of course, are past February and into March, but this is a place where we do weekly calls, and I wouldn't say that it's per se group coaching at the level where everyone gets personal stamp. But if you have any question in there, drop it. There won't be a video response. We also have Trello boards that are in there. I need to update the sales page because one of my online business managers created a Trello board for weekly accountability and a Trello board actually for each month. So that teaching you kind of this organization and process for how you can make it simpler for yourself and, of course, implement the programs that you do have from us. Somebody's saying, can we use a workshop for a VIP day? I'll tell you exactly what I did for a VIP day. If you're doing it face-to-face, a VIP day for me was often coming and cleaning out like the cabinets, going shopping with my client because they were usually like, I hear all this, gluten-free stuff and dairy-free, or there would be family members with different allergies or different specific types of eating. And so I would come in there. I most often gave a bunch of different recipes. If there was a program that needed for the mom, I provided that. If there was one that needed to be for the kids, I would say, here, you have access to both of these. We're going to be with each other for 4 hours, 6 hours. You can also do them, of course, online. And that could be that, somebody's working with you over a 4-hour period with going through that program. It doesn't mean that you're just doing that program, but you're doing stuff that we do in coaching, whether it's rewiring mindset and kind of formulating habits that are specific for that person, not just habits, but like, let's really talk about your day. Let's really talk about how you continue to go back to this same addiction. I worked with a lot of people with eating addictions, eating issues, overeating issues, gut issues, stress, anxiety, and people like myself that were always doers, and we're kind of conditioned like that from a very young age. And so for me, a VIP day was giving that person an opportunity to go like really deep. And I would often do it like a pee break or, let's get something to eat, and do that kind of at the mid 2 hour. And it just gives a really beautiful experience for your client to be able to, instead of working with you maybe over like a 3-month period or maybe over that month, that you're really addressing everything, in that intensive. For me, I do love doing that face-to-face. That's how I generally did mine. And so it was a really nice experience to be able to bring essential oils and even, bring something like cups for that person's back, and really to create like this very Zen space, and also to cook with them and show how easy it can be. And I think that's, for most of our clients, the biggest obstacle. It doesn't mean that you can't do VIP days. My second coach did 1 hour a day, a whole day. And I believe she charged $2,000 for the day. So some people do a whole day, and just depends on what your pricing model is and what you're including. I'm not sure I would say a VIP workshop for a VIP day, but it depends on what you provide to your clients. For me, if somebody's going to pay, all the people who paid for VIP days, if they're going to pay $900 to be with me for those hours, I do want to equip them with like suggested healthy meals that are for the kids. It was not uncommon that I would come in and like work with a cook or work with the nanny, or help the family to understand how to transition that child who was like newly diagnosed with celiac or gluten, or had some learning issues where they were doing early intervention. So I worked with a lot of very specific diets and helping somebody to swap out their stuff without their kid going, ugh, and also to swap it out where it really is then tasty for the whole family, instead of that child or that person always feeling like there's this one specific meal only for them. Cheryl saying, I love face-to-face and prefer workshop. I'm thinking of going to the gym, YMCA. 100%. My daughter swims competitively at the YMCA. And so we always know that person in the front going in and saying like, hey, I love coming here. I was wondering if you guys host classes. I know that you send a newsletter because they send a lot, and asking if you can, write the newsletter for them, do, of course, a class, or even come in and do a workshop, of course. Any PTA, any Chamber of Commerce, networking groups, even at work, guys. If you are doing a 9 to 5, if you're friends with a bunch of moms, I know it feels nerve-wracking, or if you go to a CrossFit gym or you go to a fitness gym, sit there, buy the workshop, and then actually shoot a little video of that workshop when you do pitch to that person. Or if you're going to pitch to somebody face to face, take your computer, or take your iPad, or take your phone and say, I wanted to show you what this workshop would be, this level of information I'm providing. They might even be a great person that says, wow, I'm so blown away by this. I've been dreaming about having somebody like you. My neighbor down the street. So even look within your own community. My neighbor, who I did a bunch of workshops and taught, he always begs me, please come back, please teach. Nobody else did it like you. I'm telling you guys, a lot, you think that everyone knows this information, but they don't really know it. So Write down 20 people that you want to reach out to that you already have established relationships with. My doctor, she referred me constantly because she was like, Rachel, I know none of this. Like you know, all these different things. And, you know, I'm going to refer you. And then we started doing co-relationship, like she was handling the testing. And I did that actually with another past doctor in Philadelphia. And I did that with an acupuncturist, and we would co-work. It was also fun, of course, doing it locally. So remember, it's not that you are assaulting your list and being like, this is what I do, but you do have to let people know what you do. You do have to be proactive. Opportunities come to those who seek out those opportunities. And the only difference between you getting hired or you doing that free opportunity is the asking for it and showing up with the confidence. And again, looking at those workshops as a way that if you wanted to get in front of somebody's for visibility, you have to just show them it. You have to, it doesn't mean you have to show them everything. It doesn't mean you should send them a Dropbox. Take a video, loom.com is free, or take a video with your phone and say, this is the level of quality that you can expect from having me come in and teach classes. I did that at a local yoga studio, and I don't even do yoga. But I went in, I was like, I am so blown away by what you do. I wish that I could calm myself down, but I'm really inspired and I love your vibe. And I have a feeling that your ideal clients who are coming in here to find their Zen probably have very stressful lives. And so this is what I can teach. And I would assume that, you know, people in here also have their own gut issues. And I can teach about, you know, the best foods for that. And they were like, oh my God, that would be so awesome. And I said, and I will promote you. And I think that's the other thing that you have to remember is it's reciprocity. So always when you're pitching and using our content or saying, hey, can I do a challenge for you guys, or even speaking to somebody who's an admin in a group, take the time to look at their business, take the time to get to know a little more about them so that when you pitch, you're like, hey, I see on your website, there's, you know, you specialize in leaky gut, chronic fatigue, hormones, you know, stress. And I swear, and I promise you will set yourself up for more success without sitting there and going into what I feel is a little of the stress zone that takes us sometimes into that like failure zone. Somebody's saying, what is the difference between the stress quiz and the stress program? Let's just look at it. Let me pull up my Dropbox. There's a pretty big difference. So let's just take a look. All right, so we have the quizzes and the protocols. So it's not just a quiz, it's a quiz, lab, and protocol. I'm going to show you the difference in the stress program. So this stress protocol, you'll see right here, it does have a quiz. We talked about all the different ways that you can use it. This is applicable for any of these quizzes, protocols, or even if you look and there's a workshop that has a quiz. And of course, most of our programs have even quizzes or baselines in the program. But again, always look at the sneak peek, guys. So right here on the stress protocol, you have the lab reference sheet, which you're not going to have in the stress program. You're going to see it in a different way. It's going to be more like tests you should have, but this is actually breaking down exactly what those tests are, about the tests, and where to order. Now, if your clients, of course, are doing their own, like through Everywell, or finding a practitioner to do the Dutch test, what you're doing as the health and wellness advocate versus maybe somebody with functional medicine or the ability to diagnose is that you can provide that as a part of your toolkit for your one-on-one, where you are saying like, when you work with me, I'm your advocate for helping you to demystify like what could actually be going on, and for you to be able to take this to your wellness practitioner or to your, functional medicine doctor or your doctor or your nurse practitioner. Because I would say I've had a lot of conversations, especially being with all the diagnosis that I've had with like asthma and ulcerative colitis. A lot of people, they won't offer up that suggestion, but if you come in and you teach your client to advocate in the way that maybe you've done for yourself, this allows you to have a place that has fully referenced information, protocol that you could even use in your personal. It has key supplements of the ones, and you can, of course, for those of you that have full script, you can include this. So this is going to be different, and I'll just show you the difference. This could even be like a step one that you work with your clients, or it could be that you sell that protocol, or it could be that you package this in as your onboarding for somebody before you start the program. Whereas the stress program, you'll see that I did add a quiz because I did feel that it was imperative, especially if somebody who was buying this package, so you didn't have to buy both, but they are different. This quiz is, of course, a quiz that is different from the other one. We don't like to cross over information if we don't have to. And this is something that, of course, you can ask people on a discovery call. I like using quizzes as the questions that you are asking on a forum, and really even going into a few more questions like, how long has this stress been affecting you? Do you find that it's affecting you in your personal relationships? If so, how? Have you seen somebody or worked with somebody, for this stress? And if so, like what did work and what didn't? You'll see right here that, of course, the guide, and I go over this pretty well with even 3 different additional videos on that sales page, including an overview. You'll see right here, this is teaching your ideal client first what is stress. The other one is taking them into like the right way of like, this is how we're gonna fix this problem. And I don't mean fix in a claim way, but I mean more in either a conversion way, or if you are actually looking at that protocol and quiz package, you could have somebody opt into the quiz. They land on a thank you page before they get access to the questions. You have a little masterclass there, or maybe you do a video of that lab reference sheet and say, this is the level of quality that you're going to get with working with me. I know coaching, often seems like, what am I going to get? I want you to see what it would be like to work with me. That same, of course, could be, many of you have memberships and you are offering your testing through, of course, that membership, or you're doing it in a myriad of different ways. Some of you do hair analysis. A lot of you do a lot of different things. You can, of course, pair those protocols with that specific quiz, making it kind of a more win for that person who is, of course, working with you for the test. I would say I'm not the best at understanding, testing. That's why I hire people to help me in that area. because I get overwhelmed when it comes to like hormone testing, not my zone of genius. And I think the same is true when we are told that we need a battery of tests. I know I paid when I was recovering from asthma and I had heavy metals and all these really horrific things. Leaky gone, really bad is an understatement. And I think they told me I needed like $5,000 of testing. And looking back, I'm sure they were thinking in their best interest. But I would say if I had something like, hey, here are these labs, and I'm sure each one of you have your own additional suggestions, maybe, or maybe you do a specific test, maybe you do nutrigenomics, or you test specifically for mold, which is like in that environmental toxin one. Then that allows you, as we had a request from many coaches, hormone specialists, functional medicine practitioners, they would say, this is everything I write to my client, but I can't with everything I'm doing and I'm fully booked. I can't like keep writing this. So this was actually a request from people who were buying, which is you guys. So in the guide, you can look at, of course, the table of contents. So we have a summary. This is about knowing what to try, relaxation. I mean, and when I say the level of information, I don't know where I've ever seen all of this put together in a way like this with different exercises. So when I look at what are the ways that we can support, these are all the things that I talk about. I love that we put in DNRS in the Gupta program. I was actually introduced to that by one of our writers, and think that this is when we're looking at a whole comprehensive. So sitting with your clients in any fashion or model that you are working with. Some of you, of course, have memberships where you do a program every quarter, you open enrollment. This has a lot of information. I would say probably even a program, when I look at it, that could easily be extended to 6 months, or that you can ask, you know, hey, at the end of the 3 months, do you want to continue for another month? I would say it all the time. Week 3, I'd be like, oh my goodness, we are like almost done. And my client would say, can you just send me an invoice for another month? That turned in for a few people to actually like a 9-month working with me. But this is all the stuff. And I love that this is included because this is a huge part of what I taught. And the adrenal program, of course, has specifics, but I wouldn't say that it goes into this level of things that are available. So I would say, I'm sure there is supplementation, but I think you're going to see more of that direct, like quick guide in that. Doesn't mean that there isn't the information that, of course, you need here. I mean, I can't tell you how many EMDR sessions and EFT sessions. So really looking at each of these components. And it doesn't mean, and I will say this, what I used to do for my clients is if you feel like you want to break it down, copy and paste that onto a Google document or copy and paste that onto one of the handouts. And of course, if you have already your own full script or things that you suggest, you know, by all means, if you're a huge like B12 shots or IV therapy or, you know, designs for health adrenal, or you do like an innate adrenal, you will see right here, we go into then this last part. So they're different in that way, is that you're really, you're looking at this as a full program, where the other can be amazing. But you're not, I wouldn't look at it as a full program. I would look at it as a protocol. It doesn't mean that you can't match that with a, with another program and add that element. And I think that's the really cool thing about those protocols, is it allows you to then, you know, niche down even more in a specific area. So if it's like the 30-day gut, you could have the leaky gut protocol, and maybe it's like the food intolerances or environmental sensitivities, whichever one like best really fits this message that fits the problems that your ideal client has, fits, of course, your signature process. And just like we talked about in the beginning of this training, which we're now 90 minutes in, was really talking about how those free offers, they mirror the transformation that you're offering in your paid offers. Somebody's saying, what's the difference between the Splash protocol? Can you use the PowerPoints to convert into Canva? Teresa, I have been, of course, looking at Canva. If you wanted to copy and paste because you love a Canva template, I would say we have a lot of people who are really, or masters in Canva, but we have a huge amount of buyers that are not that tech savvy and are really used to using the PowerPoint. So I would say that, yes, a copy and paste could easily be put in, but I don't think that you can export, just like a Word document. I don't think you can export the Word document in and then be able to personalize it. So if you feel like that's a really important thing, I always say our programs are not for everyone. And I don't mean that like in any rude way. I just say there's, you know, there's a limit on the platforms that we sometimes have to choose to make it universal. But it's something that I am thinking about as Canva's really expanded, which was only about, I would say last year they started doing that. And now I would say they've definitely worked out the kinks. Sure, Cheryl saying, I'm trying to map out my client's journey. My ideal client is struggling with metabolic syndrome. That's pre-diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and overweight. My pillars, love it, Cheryl. You came prep. My pillars are detox, gut, hormone, adrenal, stress, and nutrition. One thing that I would say you may want to look at, doesn't mean that it's going to be a perfect fit, is the blood sugar mastery. Is really nice because it teaches about carb cycling. If you're working with people that, of course, need to be on a low sugar, I have a lot of coaches take the ketogenic made easy, and they will add in either optional carb to say, like, you know, here's the meal. And they are, when I tell you they are healthy ketogenic, like with greens and not a bunch of, you know, cheese, but really having stuff that is easy on the liver. Because for those of us who have a fatty liver, even if we're skinny, or bile flow isn't as efficient because there has been leaky gut or gut dysbiosis, I would say you could look at that keto one and make sure that you're maybe adding in just a little more like carb balance if it needs, or just keep it really at the keto and make sure that those with high cholesterol don't have impaired digestion because of bile flow. And that's a really big thing that often gets overlooked. My favorite bile salt is cholecol. When I did nutrigenomic testing many, many years ago, 10, that was a big thing that showed up on my stool test, all ones, DNA, everything, all those things that we do. But finding a bile salt that actually worked, and I'm not a huge standard process lover, sorry guys, but that is one of my favorite. I've never been able to find one that's as good as it. So I would say if you wanted to look at the food part first, to see, I would say that the 30-day gut fix is anti-inflammatory. I think the foods in there, the recipes are pretty low carb, because I believe there's only pseudo grains, but I would need to check. But feel free to drop a message at customer support, and happy to jump on a call to show you that and to figure it out. My free set, if you sign up for a free discovery session, we typically don't talk strategy during that time. That to me is business coaching. But if you're trying to figure out like what to buy and you're overwhelmed and you spend hours, looking, I will always get on the phone, Zoom actually. So, and we can kind of figure out some different scenarios. Somebody's, Cheryl saying, I want to keep it simple but valuable to my client. Should I focus only on one aspect? I think that prediabetes only or high blood pressure. I would say most people with high blood pressure, I know it's like such a big thing, but usually when I have found that it is, yes, an adrenal component. But for me, I always look at get the gut right and then move to adrenals. So I would say this is that decide if it's going to be about sugar. If it is, look at the blood sugar mastery. It's got 4 teaching modules teaching you how to find your carb tolerance. And you could also, of course, personally modify that, as most of us do when we are working with somebody one-on-one. I would say the second to look at is you could look at sugar repair or look at one of the gut courses, or the adrenal, and see like which one you're going to focus on. And I would say for any of you that are like, what should I buy? It's what do you want to be known for? Like hands down, what do you want to be known for? And within that, as Cheryl was so clear, is these are my teaching pillars. Like I want to teach, this process to get my ideal client better. I would just say, Cheryl, look at those different ones, and then we can always like finalize it if needed. Kristen saying, do you have any recommendations for partnering with doctor's office, how to approach them? I will just go back to what I said is I love being able to approach anyone, acupuncturist, chiropractor. I would say doctor's offices, unless you know somebody, can be a little tougher just because there's very limited time. And I would say befriend the woman at the front desk and the person who makes those kind of decisions, and pitch to that person. Say, this is what I specialize in. I can guarantee that your clients probably, have this issue, this issue, this issue. I can come in and do a free presentation. If it's not a doctor's office, I will say most of you guys have places that are like more health spas. I co-collaborated a lot with a salt. It was a salt suite. It had, all that healthy salts. And so I did that with juice places. I did a lot of getting in front of people who had clients who are coming, they're already investing in their health. It's not to say that working in collaboration with doctors does not work. I've worked with clients who have done that. Just really get clear on what you think is going to be the thing that is going to just make them say yes, and then focus on that 1 to 2 or 3 different options for that presentation. I think the best is always to drop off a packet or send an email with a video, because that is what makes you memorable. And that shows a extra step that a lot of people are not willing to do because they get super scared. Can a 3-month stress program be delivered in 2 parts? So a 4-week level 1, and then, hands down. I would say this for any of you is that if you have a group, And I talked about this with the 4-month reboot. Somebody was like, getting somebody to commit to 4 months. I said, don't have them commit to 4 months. Tell them what that journey looks like and say, look, month 1 is going to be X amount of money. If you want to continue, it's going to be amazing. So you can break down any of them to not only be financially charging, but think about the psychology of the buyer. That's why I said, Jane, Jack, and Susie, is think about people in their busy life. Of course, we want to work with people committed, but people often are not committed for what? Can anyone drop it in the chat? Blow me away. Tell me why people usually have their objections. Let me see if anyone dropped. Okay, well, I'll just answer it. They have their objections because it's either time, they have failed miserably at trying something before and it didn't work. They're hesitant, they're not going to be able to complete it. They have, of course, their emotional baggage of their own narrative of their life. They're saying things like, oh, you've never been able to accomplish this on your own. How are you going to be able to hold it accountable to a coach? Or that they are a secret keeper, which can often be when there is shameful activities that are going on. So always remember, understand what's holding that person back. And one simple way with price objections is to be like, oh, no problem. I'm going to break this down. The second thing that I will just give you a boop, boop, is I love that you are thinking in processes. So it actually makes it even sexier when you are, I don't mean sexy like inappropriate. I mean sexier and more irresistible when you're saying, here's step 1, and this is what step 2 is, because you're coming up with a 2-step process. And people like processes, even, that's why we do things like 7 ways, 7 steps, 3 top problems. It's part of just what appeals to people, and their anxiety lessens when they're like, oh, I'm going to learn like the 3 top reasons that my hormones are not balanced, or the 3 reasons why I have this unexplained weight loss, or Barbara saying, would the stress program be a good for corporate? I think that is a great fit. I have a past client who is in she's in Barbados, and she works corporate with the 4-month reboot, and she put that together in the same fashion that I said to you guys. I was like, girl, listen, this is what I would do. Put everything of like what's included, copy and paste the what's included from the sales page. Don't give them the sales page, but put it in a proposal. This is the objection. This is the objective. This is how much money you could possibly save, show stats, pull them, and then put little videos showing like, this is what I'm going to be teaching. I can format in this way. And I think that's, to me, what closes the deal. I've never worked, I worked corporate, but I've never done corporate programs. I got hired or either asked by a lot of corporate to come in and do lunch talks. But I would say, I think this one's a great one. I have a bunch of coaches who use Mindset Makeover because it's a huge mindset part. And that's what corporations love, is a lot of the rewiring mindset, success mindset, productivity, success. And so talking about those, either 2 of those would be a no-brainer. Somebody saying, what is the stress course about? The stress course is a lot on habits. It's a lot on different breathing techniques. It has amazing PowerPoints. I have some people who launch this as a course, massive success. There's not recipes. It's more of a course format. I would say that it's not to the extent of the information. So if you're a person that aligns more with the information in the stress program, then that's the one for you if you look and you see the sneak peek for the stress course and you're like, you know what, I think I'm more comfortable with this kind of verbiage. Look at the guides that you get, look at the workshops. Some people have used that and bought that to actually say, well, I'm just going to do these independent workshops, one every other day on stress. And so you can really use a program in so many different ways. And so I would say, without me showing like side to side, I would look at the 2 sneak peeks and see what content calls to you. And when I say that, it means like, what's the closest to how you would be talking? What's the closest to your vision, so that you're not having to do mass amount of edits and you can step into that ownership much faster. Okay, so thank you. Somebody's saying, great collection. I specialize in perimenopause and menopause. Which are the ones you offer with Canva templates? All of our women's wellness has Canva templates. And I did actually put in Canva templates in the 21-day hormone detox, just because I realized they weren't there. And so I have to update the sales page. But I would say the perimenopause and of course the menopause both have those Canva templates. They also have guides that are very expansive. So even if you wanted to create additional PowerPoints with that and break it down into like PowerPoint steps, it's very easy to do that as well. I would encourage you to look, I think her name's Michelle too. She's on the VIP replay page and you can see her website, how she uses it. So, okay. I must have cell activation syndrome and I just love, aw, that's so sweet. I think if you have any questions, guys, please, I'm going to end, this training. I would say, please be on the lookout for events being added to my free group. I'm going to just, for those of you who need to get on and kind of go over some of this again, like how do you use a program? What are the different ways that you can, build out that business without feeling like you're insane and local. So I will be adding those events, and please, of course, if you have questions, email in. The more specific that you can get, the easier it is for me to reply and not go back and forth. And I will also be putting in, because I just see there's a lot of new peeps here, and putting in an opportunity to jump on and do just some live Q&A questions with, of course, showing drop boxes, so that you guys can understand how much time this can save you. It will save you money. And I say that because, yes, you're investing money, you're starting your business, all of that, but really look at either your time equity. If you have the skills to make things look great, you're maybe in a little different sector, but you may not have the time to hire the writers, or you don't want to hire a, specific kind of writer for 50 to 100. Editors, copywriters, all of that, social media. And so a lot of these, the majority of our programs, sometimes the sales page and the 6 email sequence and a few other things don't even cover the cost of the program. So just to close with this, our recipes are copyright free. That means, and that's kind of unheard of, you can go to a lot of meal planning, and a lot of coaches who buy our programs, of course, use meal planning services for very, very specific diets. We do have an AIP program. We do, of course, have specific diets. ketogenic, etc. But I would say that our recipes are really intuitive, clean eating, with, of course, different foods that are added in for, like, whether it be hormones or whether it be dim foods or gut health foods. And so you can rest assured that that recipe is not going to be in a book. It's not going to be somewhere else. It's not published anywhere. And that the content really is yours. You just got to own it and get out of your way. Do the market research, guys. I can't tell you. I didn't know anyone really to be able to do that, but I reached out to my friends and girlfriends that I knew fit my ideal client avatar. And I did join a group. I took a course and I was able to go in there and say, like, hey, I need a few people who fit this kind of personality. And that they ended up actually turning into not beta testers for my program, but actually were some of the first people who joined my program and gave me raving testimonials. So don't overcomplicate it. All right. With that being said, it's a pleasure to be with you. It's been an honor to be with you tonight. This was a long, jam-packed one, but I hope that you got massive value from it and that you can breathe a little more on pricing, breathe a little more on how your signature system needs to flow, and understand that you don't have to do it all by yourself. All right, guys, I better see you. If I see you with questions, and I know that you are wanting this as much as I do, as much as I did, as much as I do want to change the world. So with that being said, I will see you guys later.